I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Pavilion in Davos. Delighted now to be joined by Fred Krupp. He's the president of the Environmental Defence Fund. Thanks very much for stopping by here on Climate Deal Day.
Delighted to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what you're here in Davos speaking about. I know you're doing a lot on oceans and fisheries. Can you tell me about some of that work?
Yes, well, you know, fisheries are a problem all around the world. Fish have been depleted. In many places, the fish stocks have completely crashed. In other places, they're on the verge of crashing. And so the total amount of protein we're getting from the sea is actually going down. Since several billion people around the world, many of our poorest citizens of the world, depend on protein from the sea, this is a big problem.
So in terms of what you're doing and the actions that you're seeing some of the partners that you work with, is there anything that you can point to that might give us a ray of hope?
There's a lot of hope on fisheries, and that's one of the reasons we're here to talk about it. Because starting in New Zealand, but then going up to Iceland, and in Canada, the United States, and just beginning in Mexico, fisheries are being transformed in a way that makes them more productive. Basically, the management systems are changing from a system where everyone is chasing fish, and it makes sense for people to catch as many as they can as soon as they can,
Right.
which has resulted in the collapse, to a system where we give folks who fish a ownership stake, a financial stake in the recovery. And suddenly, what's then in their best interest is to be good stewards of the resource, to argue for the scientific establishment of limits on how many fish can be taken, because if we take fewer in the early years, it may mean some loss of income sooner, but then they share in the more robust years to come. So let me give you an example.
Please.
In the United States, in the Gulf of Mexico, just 3 years ago, the fishery was transformed from an old-style system to one of these new systems where fishermen have a stake in the future. And in just 3 years, the number of fish in the water, red snapper, has gone up by 60%. And the scientists tell us they will continue, their stocks will continue to build. Meanwhile, fishermen are catching more, selling them for higher prices, and very happy. We have the same sort of stories in Iceland and New Zealand and all around the globe in the places that have established these fisheries. In the United States, this year, 2011, 74% of the fish will be caught in these revolutionary new systems.
Okay.
So what we're here in Davos to do is bring this concept to other folks, particularly in the European Union, which has decided that this year and next, 2011 and 2012, the European Union will take a new look at its fishery policies, which have not worked that well, and they will be rewritten. And so we want them to understand the successes that have occurred in other places, so the ministers can decide if they would be applicable here in Europe.
I live in London, but I travel to California, where I'm from, every summer, and I go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yes.
And religiously, we go with me and my kids to the bit of the cafe, and they serve you up the fish, and they say, no, you shouldn't be ordering the tuna. And I know that there's a lot of issue with tuna, especially in Asia, obviously a delicacy, and there's been a lot of stories, a lot of movies made about this as well. Can you tell me a little bit about how you might be working with Asia in terms of getting this sustainable fishery management system there?
Well, yes. We have plans in Asia to expose people to nearby places such as New Zealand, where these fisheries are in place and where it's working well. We also have worked with some of the private equity investors in the United States, such as Carlyle, which has made an investment in a Chinese fishing company and made it a much more sustainable company. So both through rules and regulations and through investments changing practices, it's possible to make progress in Asia. And in California, just within the last few weeks, 90 additional species of fish, ground fish, rockfish, were put under management of this new system, which I should say the buzzword, the word to remember is catch shares, where the fishermen get shares in the fishery, and so their interests become aligned with the recovery of the fishery.
So I'm going to be looking for catch shares on my menu, is that right?
That's right.
All right, Fred, thanks very much for coming into the Hub Pavilion here in Davos. Fascinating to speak to you. And I'm Edie Lush.